Welcome. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Minnesota. I have to physically. I physically have to tell my brain. I gotta stop the message that goes from my brain out my mouth from saying North Stars. It happens every time. The Wild. The North Stars used to be a favorite team of mine when I was a kid. And in any case, I just can't stop myself. The Minnesota Wild. Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Minnesota Wild. We're doing a game review of sorts. I know a little while ago I said I wasn't going to do these anymore or I was going to find a different way of doing them. And so this game today was on at 2 o'clock in Toronto. It was a very early game during the week. It was labeled or marketed as like a kids game. And so, a lot of parents brought their kids to this game. If there was a discount, maybe, I don't know. But it was funny because a lot of the players and coaches and all the adults who were working the game had sort of their kid double-ganger there. So even the coaches, even Mike Babcock, even the visiting coaches on the Minnesota bench and Bruce Boudreau and the assistant coaches had their kid double-gangers there. To such a degree that the reporter who was, I forget her name, blonde-haired lady, who was interviewing players and such before and after and during the games, had her doppelganger, Abigail, if I can remember her name. And so the reporter would ask the question, and then, the player coach would answer, and then the little girl would ask a question. And yeah, so that went on the whole game. It was nice. It was cute. But that's the reason why it happened so early in the day. It happened at like 2 p.m. As you know, kids don't start school, I believe, until next week. So, yada, yada, yo. So I thought I'd play with this format. I'd review this game because I had some more time. Enough of me yakking. Let's get to the board. Okay, so first period. So now this is interesting because Dubnyk started for the Minnesota Wild. Hutchinson started for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They picked him up from the Florida Panthers, who had him playing in for their AHL affiliate. He didn't do too well for them when Luongo was out and Reimer was hurt, and he was playing for a while in net for Florida early on in the season, and he didn't do that good. And so they had him toiling in the AHL. I think Toronto traded like a 5th-round pick or something for him because Anderson had been dealing with lower body injury, and this I believe this morning or last night or something during practice, Sparks got a puck to the head, so he was dealing with a concussion. So bam! All of a sudden, Hutchinson, who Toronto was going to have as a starting goalie in the AHL, because they needed better goaltending down there too. Because their goaltenders are all gone from last year, and Pickard and McElhaney and Sparks, who's now the backup, who now had a concussion. So he got a surprise phone call saying, "Hey, welcome, pack your bags, come to the arena, you're starting tonight." The coach, Mike Babcock, hadn't even met the guy, and they threw him into the net. So that's sort of the undercurrent story happening here as well. Let's get to the first period. 7 seconds into the game. 7. I think this is the first time a Maple Leaf has scored since like 1932. So early in the game. And this is a give and go right off the face-off between Matthews Brown or Tavares Brown and Marner. And Marner got the puck in the slot, and he was on his backhand and just sort of backhanded it into the far corner past Dubnyk. It's really hard to blame Dubnyk on this one because, I don't know, maybe he should have played a little further out of his net, but those backhands, you never know where they're going to, what's going to happen with them. In any case, Marner gets his 14th of the season, assisted by Brown and Tavares. Next goal, Marner gets another one. A little back and forward, kind of with a bunch of players standing in front of the net on a rush, and Tavares feeds Marner for a change as opposed to the other way around. Marner gets a second of the game, 15th of the season, and I think all of a sudden now he's got like 8 goals in 9 games, or 9 games in 8 or 9 goals in 8 games after having barely scoring any at the beginning of the season. So Marner not only the Mr. Assist Machine is starting to score now. So yeah, that was assisted by Tavares and Hainsey. Tavares getting his second point of the night as well, second assist. Then before the period's out, Coyle gets a goal for the Minnesota to make it 2-1. His 7th of the year, assisted by Kunin and Spurgeon. Spurgeon had a really good game. He's 30 right now, and he's a right shot D. And there are some teams like Boston and Toronto, for instance, who are looking for some for some right shot defensemen. And he was rumored to maybe be interested in having Toronto being interested in him. Yeah, so that was the end of the period. The shots were 19-10 in that period. Hutchinson kept them in it. He played solid. He had really good rebound control. I'm trying to remember how this one goal went in. The only one of these goals, I want to say it was the last one or the second last one that went in on him was a softie. It was a real softie, went just right through him. In any case, second period. And I think it was this one, the goal by Koivu, his sixth of the season, assisted by Stahl and Spurgeon. Spurgeon, second point of the night. There you have it. So that ties the game. Then Toronto goes ahead 3-2. Nylander finally gets that monkey right off his back. He literally made the expression, just threw it right off there. Gets his first of the season, assisted by Matthews. And Dermott Matthews was really trying hard. He was feeding Nylander all game. Nylander looked really good, to give him credit. He had a lot of good looks for this whole game. And then before the second's out, Minnesota ties it. Actually, not too much longer after the Leafs scored. Spurgeon gets his third point of the game. His first goal, his fifth of the season, assisted by Greenway and Niederreiter. Greenway did a lot of work on this goal as well. And then we get to the third period, and Parise. This could have been the leaky goal, the bad goal by Hutchinson. Parise, or is it Parise or Parise? Parise. Anyways, he gets his 18th of the season, assisted by Coyle, his second point of the night, and that's a game. It's 4-3 for Minnesota over Toronto. The shots overall were 41-34 for Toronto. The shots were 19. I skipped this part. The shots were 19-4 for Toronto in the third period. So Dubnyk, didn't look too great at the start, but finished the game really strong. He kept them in it. So 41-34 in shots. Hutchinson saved 30 of 34 shots with a .882 save percentage in the game. And I don't know. I mean, besides that one goal, you can't really fault them. The Leafs just let guys walk into the slot. The Leafs don't know how to defend, down low. It's amazing, which is one of the reasons why they're looking for a right shot D-man. Dubnyk saved 38 of 41 shots. He had a .927 percentage on the night. Toronto went 0 for 4 on the power play. A power play that was so strong towards the beginning of the season, was supposed to be the best in the league, has just been shooting blanks for the longest time now. I want to say 15 or so games. And I think one of the problems is their power play is static for the most part. The skaters just stay in their positions, and there are a lot of positions like you were on a bulletin board, and they just stay there and they just pass the puck back and forth. And yeah, you can pass the puck faster, and there's one-timers and so on and so forth. You get the goalie moving laterally in order to get him off his game, throw a guy in front of his in his crease to try and blind him from the puck. But you got to see more movement from those power play forwards / defensemen, change positions, skate around, confuse the defenseman, and then the PK unit. They don't do any of that, and I think that's part of the problem. In any case, Minnesota, who only gets one power play, goes 0 for 1 on the night. Remember, Matt Dumba is still injured. He's not playing this game. Hits were 17-6 for Toronto. Surprisingly, one of the few times where they out-hit another team, because I think they're like third last or so in the league in hitting. But so is Nashville and Calgary, and they're one of the better teams in the league. So that really doesn't have much to say about nothing. Maybe in the playoffs that'll change. So the face-offs, 43-26 for Toronto. That's another thing that is probably more valuable in the playoffs. At least it means you're starting with a puck. It should make a difference. The last 10 The Leafs are 6-3-1 now. This is their second loss in a row. The Wild, who've desperately been needing wins to get back into the playoffs because they're out of it right now. But they can get back in there, especially with the Anaheim's been really, pooping their pants lately. I think they lost like 5 or 6 in a row. So they need to take advantage of some of that. Otherwise, maybe someone like the Oilers will jump in there. In any case, they're 4-5-1. This is their first win in that stretch. Toronto's record is now 26-12-2 with 54 points in the season. Minnesota's 19-17-3 with 41 points. Toronto's next game is against Vancouver on Saturday. And Minnesota also plays on Saturday. The next game against Detroit Red Wings. Tonight's games, you have the rest of tonight's games: Calgary Flames versus Boston Bruins, Florida Panthers versus Buffalo Sabres, North Carolina. Carolina Hurricanes versus the Philadelphia Flyers, Chicago Blackhawks versus the New York Islanders, the Vancouver Canucks versus the Montreal Canadiens, the Washington Capitals versus St. Louis Blues, and the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Kings of Los Angeles. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about my videos, about how I present stuff, maybe how you'd like to see me present stuff, stuff like that. Whatever you've got to say, I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much again. Hit that like button. If you like this video, smash that subscribe button. If you haven't already, thank you to my subscribers who've been building up my base so far. Again, this is my first time doing YouTube. I'm in my 3rd or 4th month since the season started. And if you have any hockey geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.